Hey Dukes, this is Dr. Tim Miller, Vice President for Student Affairs here at JMU. I want to take a few minutes today to answer some of the frequently asked questions we've been getting about reopening this fall. With such a fluid situation and so many different scenarios, it's next to impossible to provide an exhaustive list from every single area of campus. But these are the answers to several of the most common questions we've gotten on email, on calls with students and parents. So we want to be able to help you understand what we're going to do in the areas of student life, extracurricular activities, the health center, on and off campus living, orientation, move-in, response to potential outbreak, student expectations testing, and so many other things. So I'm going to go through these different questions and give you some quick answers. First question, why are we returning after Thanksgiving when all the other schools aren't? It's not that all the other schools aren't. Schools are doing different things, but for us, we could still make that decision. We believe that the on-campus in-person experience is important, so we want to see if we can still do that. But if, as we look at the different metrics out there, as far as what things look like in our community, what the virus looks like across the country, continue to look and see how things are going on our campus specifically, we may make that decision. But at this point, we have not made that decision. We would hope to be back after Thanksgiving, but if we can't, it's not safe to do so, then we would make that decision and change. But we would announce that with plenty of time for families to make choices. We also are providing opportunities for students. You had a chance when you signed up for housing. If you sign up for one of the 6 largest residence halls, you would be able to stay over Thanksgiving if you wanted to not have to travel. So that is an opportunity for students. Next question is, how come you're not testing all students before they return? We've looked at this, we've talked about this a lot on campus. The CDC and Virginia Department of Health are not recommending, and they're actually discouraging universal testing for a number of reasons. One, it's backing up the testing system. There are limited tests out there, and for us to go out and test every single student in this way, we're going to back up the system and take up a lot of testing material, a lot of reagent, and really tie up that system. The second reason is that there's no medical reason to justify doing this test. If I send a student a test today, we overnight it to them, they do the test at home, they overnight it back to us, and we're still, however many days we are out from campus, from your arrival on campus, say 2 weeks, all I'll have proven in the end is that you did not have COVID-19 on that one day. Unless you completely quarantined and isolated yourself over the remaining time period before you return to campus, we have no knowledge that you would not actually catch it at that point. So it doesn't actually give us the security we want, and I'm worried that it'll actually give people a false sense of security that, oh, everyone's okay because they don't have it. So as we looked at this and we examined and talked to other schools that were doing it, there was not a justification to do it. It was not the right thing to do for our community. It would not actually prove what we needed for people to feel actually safe when they came back. So that's why we did not test before come. That's why we have no plans to test before students return. And because it is not, the science does not back that up. The medical science does not back up that choice. A question we have is, I'm concerned about students hosting parties and large gatherings, and how will we prevent students from doing this? This is an incredibly important part of this challenge and our return this fall. We are doing a lot on campus, a lot within the classroom, a great number of things to make sure students can be safe within the confines of this campus. We've put out a lot of expectations for our students, asked them to not gather in groups larger than 10. We're working also with our student organizations about how they will gather. We're saying if they do want to gather in person, then they'll need to do that on campus. Similarly with recruitment for both our Panhellenic sororities and IFC fraternities, any events that they're doing that will not be virtual for recruitment will be on campus, but we're also planning for many of their activities to be virtual. So it'll be important that our students and our student leaders lead in these moments and understand that they have a direct impact on what this fall will look like. It doesn't matter if we've done all these other plans, all this other work to make sure people are safe, if then one of our student organizations hosts a large event off campus where people aren't wearing masks, because that will then spread this virus quicker and could then force us to have to go home just like we did in the spring. And no one enjoyed doing that and making that change. So I'm hoping that our elected student leaders in these student organizations will lead, hold their groups accountable, and we will also manage that through the Student Life Office, that if groups do not make those good choices, we will address that with the club leadership and the organization. So next question, how long would it take for someone to get tested at the University Health Center? This is an excellent question that we've been talking about a lot. There are several scenarios that we're working on right now. We're working to get our own in-house testing ability, which will allow us to do tests within about 45 minutes. So a student would be able to come in, get their test. They'd be in a negative pressure room, so it wouldn't spread throughout the health center, get their test, and then we'd know right then what to do. At the same time, we have two different backup scenarios where we have two different external sources for testing that we'll be able to send the test off to them and get the results quickly, but it'll still take about a day or two for that result. So the plan is to quarantine a student until we have test results. Again, hopefully that will be very quickly because we'll have the in-house testing option in place. If that's not, then we'll work with the student to quarantine them and put them in a safe place until we get those test results. So we've got several different scenarios we're working on. We're trying to make sure we have redundancies in our testing protocols so that we can make sure we can test all of our students that need it and have symptoms. We were asked about where we'll be quarantining students who are living on campus who test positive or are waiting for a test result. We have two different residence halls, Oak and Willow. Those are at the end of the row right near the lake. So we're using those initially. So we'll be putting students there. In addition, we've worked with some local hotels and we have a number of beds in local hotels that we could use as well for either quarantining or isolating. So, and just real quickly, isolating is what we would do with someone who actually tests positive, and then quarantining is someone who's had a close contact or is waiting for a test result. So we'll have there's two different models that you have there, and we have different venues where we put people if they need that type of space to either quarantine or to isolate. Another question we received was about move-in. We were asked if only two family members can help move a first-year student in. That is true. It's two people can help. So if you actually have a family friend that's coming instead because that's what's best for your family. But yes, there'll be two people per student that's moving in, any student who's moving in on campus, first-year student, returning student, all of those different scenarios that will be two people. We also have split our move-in over 4 days in 12 different move-in slots because we want to limit the amount of contact of people who won't remain here. So for example, you typically won't be moving in with your roommate. You'll be moving in with someone else maybe on your hallway, but you won't be moving in with the same people all around you on purpose so we can limit that contact. So if you have any questions about August move-in, I recommend you reach out to the Office of Residence Life, their move-in page that you can connect with, because they can answer more questions. But we have changed how move-in will be done. We'll have a lot of volunteers around directing you, helping you find where you're going, but we won't have volunteers picking up your items and moving them into your rooms for you this year, again, so we don't have too many people contacting your stuff and you. We have a question about Virginia and what will happen if Virginia reverts back to phase 2. It's hard for us to say exactly what the phases would do. So for example, recently, the governor pushed the Hampton Roads area back to many pieces that sound like phase 2, but did not impact anything with the universities in that area's status. So it's hard for us to guess what that might look like. We are in touch with the governor's office on a regular basis. We are connecting with them. So we're not able to sort of guess that. It's important to stay up to date. So we recommend you continue to check your emails. Students, I know that university emails, you don't always read them. You need to read all of them this summer. You need to share them with your family. And then also keep up with our Stop the Spread website that you can find at www.jmu.edu/stopthespread. And that's stop-the-spread, so that you can know what's going on, keep up with us, and know what we're doing on campus and as things do continue to change. Got a question about asking students to follow the rules. I believe that our students want to be here. I know that I want our students to be here. I know that leaving last spring and students leaving their friends, leaving their community, transitioning to online education and not being in this space really was not what anyone wanted. It's not how our seniors wanted to graduate. It's not how our continuing students wanted to live in the spring semester. They missed time on the quad. They missed time with friends. They missed the community that is JMU. I want to ask our students to remember that, and for our returning students to remember that you control that right now. We will manage a lot of what happens on campus, but you've got to manage the rest. We're going to provide lots for you to do. We're going to provide lots of opportunities for you to build community, We're not asking you to sit in your rooms all day and not connect with people. I want you to build connections, but I want you to do it with your masks on. I want you to do it with distance around each other. I want you to do it in a way that builds the JMU community, but is safe. There is a way to do this safely by washing your hands, by having fun with your masks. You know, I've shared with some people, I've bought a number of different masks that I'm really excited about. I have a Baby Yoda mask coming, I have a Captain America mask coming, I have a Washington Nationals mask, and then of course a number of JMU masks. This is going to be part of our reality for a while. Let's have fun with this a little bit. Let's have some fun masks. Let's connect with each other. Let's talk to each other. You will be able to have community here. You will be able to connect to each other, but you've got to do it safely. If you choose to go off and do unsafe things after hours in your communities, that will have a negative ramification, not only on JMU, but on Harrisonburg. And as we work with this, we will address that behavior. I will address it. The Office of Student Accountability and Restorative Practices will address it. And I hope you'll address it with each other. When you see someone, a friend of yours, a group, doing something that's not the safest choice, please address it. Please step in and say, don't make us go home. Let's be smart about this. Dukes, I know that we can all work together and make these good choices. It will be hard, and it's a short term, I hope, thing. Hopefully this fall and maybe into the spring, we'll have to make some of those choices. And then maybe things can get, can be different down the road. But we can do this, we can connect, we can build that community and do so in a safe way. And then another question we have is, what will be the response to a campus-wide outbreak? This is also kind of a hard question because exactly what that would look like is hard to sort of define. But we'll have to deal with each of these differently depending on the specific circumstances. There are any number of different scenarios. But if you think through, as you think through it, and as we plan for this, we're thinking through depending on where it would happen and how we'll manage it. So we have a number of plans about how we'll quarantine and isolate as things happen, how we'll manage that holistically in case there is a larger outbreak. But we're also working to educate our students on the expectations and safety precautions. If students are smart about their own symptoms and talk to us about it, help us get them tested if they do have symptoms, we can manage these. And remembering who you've been around so we can do good contact tracing, all those pieces will help us minimize it as some students may get this fall. So as you think about avoiding large school social gatherings, physical distancing, wearing masks, washing your hands on a regular basis, and avoiding touching eyes, nose, and mouth, all these are things that we can do that will manage that outbreak. And if we do have one, through our medical team, through the Virginia Department of Health, and other resources locally and around the state, we'll address an outbreak if it does occur and how it occurs. But it's hard for me to give you a specific answer to this because an outbreak is such a big, broad term, and what that would look like will define how we actually deal with it. I want to thank everyone for watching and listening. Please make good choices. This is on all of us to make this a great semester. Hope everyone is doing well this summer. We'll see you soon, and go Dukes.